like deja vu all over again. You must have really missed that spot on the bed, homeboy, huh? Look at you. Good morning again, Jaw. Good morning. Today, we're back to doing more Buster Keaton. The man finally gets his dues today. He gets the plaque he deserves. Daze with Jordan the Lion. And you begin now! Ah! Well, that's right, my friends. Today, Los Angeles honors Buster Keaton Day. The Great Stone Face. Now, when I decided to make the trip to Portugal, it was a total priority to make sure that I was back for this weekend because they're doing so much, and I'm just loving that they're finally giving Buster Keaton his due. The guy who wrote Silent Echoes, which is like a filming location book on Buster Keaton's movies, he's been doing tours. Like I showed you guys yesterday, the Talmadges have been at different events telling stories, and it's all really due to the Buster Keaton organization. They were the ones that felt like it just didn't make sense to have a little plaque on the ground that nobody knew of, and it was on the northwest corner of the intersection when Buster's studio was actually on the southwest corner, so they just wanted to move it, get a better looking plaque. And thanks to Mitch Farrell also being involved. He's our councilman here, and you know, I just have to throw his name in there because I've noticed that every time I do a vlog on anything silent movie related, when there's a plaque memorializing anything, he's always been the one to spearhead it. So give him his dues. Thank you, Mitch Farrell, or Mitch O'Farrell. Now today is actually the unveiling of the plaque, which I'm totally excited to see. It was funded by the Buster Keaton Society itself. They took donations amongst themselves and they funded it. So it's an idea that the fans came up with. How cool. Now, one of my best friends, Kevin, is actually probably the person that turned me on to Buster Keaton the most. When I moved out here, Kevin and I became friends within like the first year. He was actually the promoter on my first 7-inch EP record that I released. He got me played on radio and turned me on to Buster Keaton then. He had a drawing, a pencil drawing of Buster Keaton. I said, who is that? And he said, oh, that's Buster Keaton. He's my idol. I've read his book a ton and I've watched all of his movies and I drew that. And he turned me on to his movies. I've always loved Buster Keaton ever since. So Kevin and I are going to go hit this plaque ceremony together today. And as you guys saw in the vlog yesterday, there's a really cool shirt they're selling, so I got to get my hands on it today. Now the location where they're putting the plaque is over there where Buster Keaton Comedies was. And before Buster Keaton Comedies was there, Charlie Chaplin made some of his movies there for 2 or 3 years at the studios. But this was really kind of Buster's home away from home. He said he never really felt comfortable being at home. His wife and her family he always painted the pictures, kind of pushed him around, and he liked to film on location, so when he was in town, he was always here. Good job, Ja. That's cool. It's hard to get mad at you. You're a co-host. You're allowed to make your artistic statement on the vlog too. Now, when I did the vlog on like the history of this studio, one of my favorite parts of it was getting to see there's a really, really famous photo right out front, right when the studio opened, of Buster and a few other people, including his best friend Fatty Arbuckle. And that was just like kind of the signifying of Buster having his own playgrounds. He had, before that, gotten his start with Fatty Arbuckle, and he had helped make things with Fatty, and until this point, he never had a place where he was the star. Now the plaque that's on the space now, it's not necessarily terrible, and it's not small either. It's actually a rather big plaque, but it's all got cracks and breaks all the way through it, and as I understand it, they used to have a full-form statue there of Buster that is no longer there, so maybe that's what they're gonna do. Well, as we're walking over to the Buster Keaton ceremony, it looks like the creepy crawlers are at it again. So Kevin, as a longtime Buster Keaton fan and the person that turned me on to Buster Keaton, what do you think is like the best movie to turn somebody on if they've never seen Buster Keaton to try out his comedy?
Well, so my favorite Buster Keaton movie is The General, because it's got both things that I really love in a movie. It's got Buster Keaton in it, but it's also one of those traveling movies like Deliverance or Cannonball Run or anything else with Burt Reynolds in it from the 70s and the 80s. I just like those movies where there's you know, not exclusively or anything, but I like those where there's traveling involved in it. And so I'm gonna go with The General. And also I kind of started out on The General, so that's a good one.
Nope, this is not the Buster Keaton Memorial, but he would have probably approved. And check this out, right on Theater Row. Looks like French Stewart is reprising himself as Buster Keaton. I may have to check that out. Oh, this is nice and unexpected. Beautiful. All right, well, we have made it over here, and if you haven't seen my vlog, go look up my channel, Daze with Jordan the Line, and look up Buster Keaton Comedies. Right here is the original plaque that people have complained about, because Buster Keaton Studios, 1920 to 28. Site of the original Buster Keaton Studio, the birthplace of a unique type of motion picture comedy here. The genius of Buster Keaton made history with pictures which brought laughter to the world. And here, you can see right on the wall, there's a little bit of beautiful Buster Keaton muraling. Look at the turnout. I love this. I love that Hollywood turns out for this. They've got the beautiful profile of Buster right up there on the podium, and there's the sign for the International Buster Keaton Society, which, like I mentioned, it's thanks to them that this was done. They raised the money for this new memorial, and it's actually right here. The front of Buster Keaton Comedies was originally right there, and that's where that picture of the whole group with Fatty Arbuckle and Buster and everyone was originally taken. Now let's go look at the merchandise. Thank you very much. Alright, let's check out the good table over here. Look at this. Great merch. They did not disappoint. Yep, they did not disappoint. I love it. I love it. And this is the shirt that we saw in the vlog with the Talmadges. So I love it. We could tie-dye that one. Now I'm gonna get one of these. Oh, look, the Bay Rum. You've got Fatty Arbuckle. Oh, look at the little Buster Keaton hat cufflinks. These are both for the dedication. I really love this one because I did the vlog and just spent so much time looking at that photo. I think I might get that one. I don't know, it's tough call. So Kevin and I both ended up getting this one. I couldn't not get that one. And if you want anything, they have an online. You can see busterkeaton.com. Well, we've got a few moments before it starts, so I thought you guys might want to see a little bit of the up close. God, they did such a great job. I can't wait to see what the memorial looks like. There's Leonard Maltin, who's a guest speaker today. Now the studio originally resided here and pretty much took up the whole block. There was the main front house that you see, the offices and everything from the famous picture, but right over here was actually a lot of the backyard where he would do some of his backyard scenes. There's actually a famous scene of the cop coming up along this way, and he used to use a lot of this neighborhood for different movies that he filmed. He was here for, I want to say, almost 10 years.
He was not only a great comedian, no one will dispute, but he was his own writer, head writer. He often directed himself, produced his own pictures. And there was a glorious period in the 20s when he had a studio right here and made some of his greatest films. Does he love baseball?
Oh, my husband does baseball too.
He was a great athlete, and so this was his way of having fun while also working on his program.
So that was the name of his boat in one of the movies. And if you think about it,
Name of the boat.
yes.
Yeah.
And if you say it damned if I know. So what's the name of the boat? Damned if I know.
Yeah.
Now you know how I mentioned that they were doing tours of all the Buster Keaton locations. There's one of the tours showing up over here. They were looking at the studio. Now they're gonna go up here, and if you watched my vlog, you know that there was a famous scene of Buster right there. Kind of cool. David Arquette's out here paying homage to Buster Keaton and wearing his attire.
Do one of these things.
Name is Alec Lev. I'm one of the vice presidents of the International Buster Keaton Society. I'm also the one that has been emailing you for lo these many years. Please welcome Melissa Talmadge Cox.
Kiss the microphone, so I'm glad I'm speaking first. My name is Melissa Talmadge Cox. Buster is my grandfather. I grew up in Santa Monica, just over the way. But my dad worked at 20th Century Fox when I was growing up. I got to see Bing Crosby sing White Christmas. I went to Jane Mansfield's Pink Mansion for her daughter's 10th birthday party. I went trick-or-treating at Lucille Ball's house. I had my picture taken with Hugh O'Brien at the studio, and I lived a couple of blocks away from Esther Williams. Cary Grant and Gary Cooper were in my dad's little black address book, but the rule was I was not allowed to call them. I also have a wonderful picture of my father sitting on Marilyn Monroe's lap, an unpublished photo. I tell you this because I want you to know that I wasn't starstruck. My family had a lot of Hollywood heritage, so I knew a lot of the secrets that my dad would come home and tell us. And I wasn't impressed with a lot of the to-do with Hollywood. At the same time, when I was growing up, I would go over to Woodland Hills and I would visit the man who was my grandfather. He was in his 60s. His hair was gray and receding. He was also getting a little bit of a spread waistline. The silent films were still silent. Nothing was available when I was growing up. I never saw my grandfather in a film while he was alive. And then, the things that I saw him in at that time were Beach Blanket Bingo and Candid Camera. Right? So I never knew much about his early days. And then something happened when I was in college. Some company called Black Hawk Films started restoring films, silent films. Among them was Grandpa's Steamboat Bill Jr. And there was at Berkeley, California, there was a silent film festival, one of the first big ones of its time. That evening was a revelation. When I saw this amazing, talented, athletic young man in these movies, and I realized this was my grandfather, I was absolutely stunned. I was amazed. And then I was starstruck. The last 45 years have been spent watching these movies come to the public, watching people enjoy them and laugh. And to listen to live music with it's just wonderful to have a live orchestra. Grandpa's popularity spread and he has captivated audiences around the world. And now we are dedicating this beautiful plaque to him, and it warms my heart to see all of you people here to celebrate. Thank you.
Please welcome co-founder and president emerita of the International Buster Keaton Society, Patricia Elliott Tobias.
Now imagine, for a moment, that it's 1923, and you are 5 years old, just starting kindergarten at that school. During recess, while you're playing outside, you may, perhaps, hear a wondrous sound coming from nearby. It's the sound of construction and the sound of laughter. What joyous and amazing things could be happening over there? And wouldn't you just love to be a part of it? What's happening over there, well, over here, was comedy, movie comedy. Some of the greatest movie comedies ever made. It's the Buster Keaton Studio. Between 1920 and 1925, your life is a bit unstable. Your family moves at least 3 times, all within a block or 2 of the Vine Street School. You were the older daughter of a studio electrician who, for all we know, might even have worked at that studio. Your name is Eleanor Ruth Norris, and about 17 years later, on May 28, 1940, you will marry the boss of that lot of fun. And you remain happily married for the next 26 years. Fast forward to April 3rd, 1957, Eleanor has conspired behind the scenes with TV host Ralph Edwards to honor Buster on live television as part of the hit TV series This Is Your Life. As one of the couple's lovely parting gifts, Edwards promises that a plaque honoring Buster will be installed at the site of his 1920s studio. But that promise gets forgotten for 31 years. Until July 6, 1988, when, finally, the plaque has been designed and is installed. Of course, because this is a story about Buster Keaton, it's been put on the wrong corner. That corner, right there. Along with, on that date in 1988, Eleanor Ruth Norris Keaton was here. Well, there. Along with some of the honored guests who have joined us once again to honor Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and the remarkable films these two film geniuses created. Right here. Not there. Here.
Through the films of Buster Keaton, John Benson.
Thank you, Alec. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I want to mention, before you go home, go up to the corner of Lillian Way. Buster filmed 3 scenes from The Goat there. You can take a selfie where Buster filmed these scenes from The Goats, just one right up the corner. So be sure to go there before you leave.
Go be a goat.
Buster Keaton knew the streets of Los Angeles like the back of his hand. He traveled everywhere just to find just the right setting for a joke. And he often matched scenes together that were filmed miles apart. And though he was particular as a filmmaker, he was also very pragmatic. As some of you already seen today, he conveniently filmed dozens of scenes right here in his home studio neighborhood. And not only to do his own stunts, but while doing a stunt for another actor, also in Convict 13, he fell off the back of a motorcycle right there between that Lillian Way sign and that RCPCS sign. Anyway, but right there, Buster fell off the back of a motorcycle for another actor. And let's not forget that over 100 years ago, Charlie Chaplin spent perhaps the happiest years of his career filming 12 comedy shorts for the Mutual Company right here at the same studio. So in the same intersection right here, Charlie and a group of firemen made The Fireman in 1916. Hollywood was still an agricultural community when the studio was built here in 1914. The former Cahuenga Valley Lemon Growers Exchange Warehouse stood right across the street, and you can actually see stacks of lemon crates appearing in a couple of Buster's early films. Scenes for 8 different movies on just one block of Cahuenga. As some of you saw this morning, there remains there an alley where Chaplin filmed The Kid, Keaton filmed Cops, and Harold Lloyd filmed Safety Last. So at this one alley, the 3 great kings of silent comedy each filmed an iconic masterpiece. Each movie has been inducted into the National Film Registry of the Library of Congress, and you can still visit this alley today. So perhaps with your support, this alley will someday be recognized as a Los Angeles Historic Cultural Monument.
I want to bring up a man who has helped us all to learn how to talk about the art of motion pictures. Film critic, author, blogger, and podcast host, and so much more. The man whose film guides have graced so many of our bookshelves, Leonard Maltin.
Who are you? Who are all you people? What are you doing here? Because you are true believers. And we all share the same love and passion and belief and faith in cinema, if you want to get highfalutin about it, movies, if you want to speak more plainly, and especially silent comedy, and more especially the silent comedy of Buster Keaton. I do believe there is something what John referred to. This is kind of hallowed ground. I don't mean to be in any way glib about that. Things happen here that matter to us. And it's astonishing to realize that some of those things happened over 100 years ago. Now, that was Chaplin's era, more than Buster's. But still, 100 years? where did all that time get swallowed up? I realized how it happened for me. I fell in love with all of this when I was in my an adolescent, and then it was only 50 years ago. It's the next generation that is going to determine whether these films continue to live throughout the 21st century and then into the next. They ought to. They haven't aged. That's the marvel of those comedies, is they really haven't aged. They're still funny. I mean, I'm a big believer in, when I'm showing a film or introducing a film, trying to put it into historical context. I think that's really important and valuable.
Buster's and Charlie's work have survived and endured this entire time, and we're still watching them today, and we know we are trying to get future generations to do this, as Mr. Maltin has mentioned. This new plaque will be here for many generations to enlighten those who come by, and they will be a place for new people to pilgrimage to come and see. So yes, it will endure. And I think the jaw-dropping will continue as well. Did you know the old plaque was on the wrong corner? I don't think it's going to go away. So, with that, I have one request before you leave today. I thought it might be fun. For as many people as possible, I have a pen. We would like to autograph this poster. So when you get a chance, come over and put your Joan Hancock on it, and we will have a good day. I will leave the pen here.
We've heard from the Keepers of the Flame. We've heard from the critic, the historian. But we all know who Buster would have considered to be his people, showbiz people. For a century, Buster Keaton has been influencing actors, writers, directors, editors, stuntmen, cameramen, and the like. And here to represent the Hollywood community and its deep appreciation for the life and work of Buster Keaton is actor and producer David Arquette. Okay. Thank you, David. Okay, a hard act to follow, says Melissa. Okay, folks, we're done. Thank you. One more thing to do, I think. All right, it is that time. It is plaque and proclamation time. And we are thrilled and honored that here to lead the way with us today is the man who represents this district, the 13th district on the Los Angeles City Council, Council Member Mitch O'Farrell. Hey! Council Member O'Farrell, I'm going to talk about you if that's okay, is a former professional actor and dancer. He's now the chair of the Arts, Entertainment, Parks, and Los Angeles River Committee on the City Council. As council member, he's been a huge supporter of the arts, culture, and historic preservation, and his office has been working with the Buster Keaton Society on this initiative since 2014. Please welcome Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell.
Thank you so much, Alec. So, Mr. Maltin, I'm a believer. Long before I ever got into public service, I was what I consider the ultimate movie fan. When I moved to Los Angeles, I moved to Hollywood when I was 21 years old, and I spent days at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. I was probably the only single 21-year-old there, but I have taken a trip down memory lane for the last 36 years in Hollywood, and here I am in front of all of you, distinguished guests, and I get to celebrate things like this as the Los Angeles City Council member representing Hollywood in the 13th District. I think it's a pretty good fit. Second time since I've been in office. The first time was the Mac Sennett Studios plaque that actually went missing for several years. It was recovered. It had been put up in a curious location. And in January of 2015, we restored it in its rightful place on the wall of the studio over there on Glendale Boulevard in Echo Park. So if there are any other misplaced plaques that you all know of, let us know, because we know how to put them back in their rightful place.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That bring inspiration to filmmakers of every generation and laughter to audiences around the world. Below that is a silhouette of Charlie Chaplin given to us by the Chaplin Association. It says 1916 to 1917. Under its original name of The Lone Star, this studio was used by Charlie Chaplin, who here produced 12 of his finest short films.
That is one beautiful plaque.
Those are all the movies I have.
Oh, that is great. Look at that.
On the edge.
Thank you.
And on that note, Buster Keaton, I hope you're proud. Have a great night, Lionhearts. Goodbye.
Away.